Hey there. So my next guest is in the world of fantasy sports, and he's bringing it to the esports world. And this is fascinating to me because I've been in this industry for a little over a year now, and he's only the second person even touching the fantasy side of stuff. And it's really cool because he's getting to see the struggles of marketing to gamers, and it's so much different than typical sports. And I'll let you guys hear him talk about it because this one was a fun one, and I know you all love it. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, I have a very special guest with us. I have Adam Weinstein. Hey there, Adam. How's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Well, it's a beautiful sunny day in Las Vegas. How about yourself?
Yeah, I wish I was down there. Unfortunately, I'm up in Manhattan right now. It's 31 degrees, so a little envious there, but gotta make it.
It's a little chilly here. I think we're only supposed to get up to like 78 today.
I'll trade you.
All right. So, Adam, I like to get the show started just getting right into it. So why don't you begin by just telling us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm a Westchester, New York, born and raised kid. Went to school up at UMass Amherst. Got a sport management degree a little while back. Been in sports ever since, most notably at the Yankees. So been in sports for about 4 or 5 years. Left there in 2016 and started my entrepreneurial journey creating ThriveFantasy, which has been pretty much my whole life for the last 4+ years. So just really easygoing guy, fun, like sports, like gaming, like esports, all that good stuff.
I love it. All right. So there's a lot to talk about. But before I do that, I start every interview with a single question. So I'm going to ask you like I ask everybody else. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question to ice break with. It depends who you ask. My parents would probably say a 10. My friends might say like a 4 or 5. I think I'm a pretty standard guy when it comes to same hobbies. I love sports. I love hanging out with buddies, going to bars, all that good stuff. Don't have too many quirks, but yeah, I think I'm a pretty standard guy. So I'd say a 5.
I love that answer. That's usually my answer too. I've had people who are like, I'm 9,000. I'm like, okay.
I know a lot of gamers who can attest to the 9,000. So
that's right. All right. So this is the gamerpreneur. So I do need your gaming cred. When did you first start playing video games, Adam?
Yeah, so I have an older brother, 3 years older than myself. I don't want to date myself, but N64 and Sega Genesis were our first couple of consoles. So back when I was 4 or 5 years old, so for quite some time. But I still believe truly at heart I'm a top 100 Mario Kart 64 and Super Smash 64 player. I have open challenges to anybody who wants to go against me in those two titles.
Next time I'm in New York, we'll have to play Smash. All right, I love it. And like, I'm assuming you continued your journey. You didn't just start with N64 and then end it. So how'd that go?
Yeah, Gamecast, big MLB guy on Gamecast. I can't remember the exact title on it. Same with NBA. I remember Jason Kidd and Shaq. I would make those create your own teams on Gamecast. But Gamecast, Xbox, I was a Halo 2 player, PS3, PS4. I've gotten more onto the sports titles, the Maddens, the FIFAs of the world, the NHLs. I do play a little COD. I'm pretty bad, but anything you give me a controller with, normally if I really love it, I'll find a way to become really strong at it and then beat my friends, and then I'll put it down. Once I can beat all my friends, that's all I know. That's all I care about.
I love it. All right, so you've played quite a few games then. If you had to choose one as your all-time favorite, which one is it?
Zelda Ocarina of Time for sure. I spent hundreds of hours back in the day with my brother trying to beat that game. We actually a couple months in realized that there was a gaming guide on how to beat it, because we were just going around aimlessly and wandering, having no idea what to do. Then we found the guide and finally beat it. But I think that still to this day is arguably the greatest game of all time.
Did you ever get all 100 gold Skulltulas?
No, once I beat it, I was like, again, like say with Grand Theft Auto, like you beat the game, but you're only like 41% complete. Like I don't have that much patience to go through every one, but I actually do watch on Twitch a lot of streamers who like fast run all of these things. And those guys are insanely impressive.
Right? They broke that game in more ways than we could have ever imagined back then.
Yeah, I was watching the guy like went from the first opening scene to the last when he beat Ganondorf in like 16 minutes, or he beat the whole thing. Like that was ridiculous. But it's actually really interesting to me. I didn't know that that was even plausible, but it's actually interesting to see.
Oh, for sure. All right, I want to get over to the preneur because like what you're doing right now is so cool, and I really want to be talking about that. But could you begin by kind of giving us a little more about your professional background? You kind of gave us a brief snippet, but like you worked with the Yankees, like that's so awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so again, born and raised a big sports guy, Yankees, Knicks, Giants. So knew I wanted to do something in sports. Again, graduated with a sport management degree. And I was a really good sales rep. All my friends and family say that I can pretty much sell anything. So knew I should go down that route. When I was starting at the Yankees and even prior, daily fantasy became a big player in the world, honestly. So FanDuel and DraftKings, and having that sports background, and I'd consider myself a gambler. I was like, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to win a ton of money on these sites. Lo and behold, I really got my butt kicked at a high level. So I wanted to make something much easier for the casual fan to be able to compete. So again, left the Yankees, wanted to create a daily fantasy app for player props. We launched a couple 2.5 years ago for NFL, MLB, and NBA. And in the last year plus, we've added PGA and esports. We do Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and Dota. So really excited to see that. It's really only inning one when it comes to what esports can be in the fantasy realm. So we're really hoping to push that needle forward.
This is fascinating to me because there's not a lot of fantasy when it comes to esports. Like it's still fairly new, and you're probably only the second person I've ever talked to that is even dipping their toe into it. What made you decide to get into the esports world? Why? Like it's so big and
yeah. So I've always, when I literally created the thought process behind Thrive, I knew esports can bring us to the next level. So anybody unfamiliar with what a player prop is, it's in specific athletes over under for a specific stat. So most notably in the NFL, it's over under Tom Brady 200 passing yards, or LeBron James over 27 points tonight. And those are just simple, fun, engaging ways to compete at a high level. But with esports, as you alluded to, no one's really doing what we're doing, in a sense of we challenge you to do over under 45 kills in this match, or 27 and a half headshots, or 10 deaths. So I just knew that could be an awesome secondary screen engagement tool. And for me, like I'm not going to be able to draft the best lineup in esports because I don't know every athlete. But if you give me an over under for specific kills, I know I can. That would excite me. So that was really just a high level thought, and the fact that we brought it to fruition is really exciting.
Was it difficult to come up with the idea to do this for esports? Because I mean, esports is so different than traditional sports.
Yeah. So what's really crazy is there's a massive market with traditional sports when it comes to player props. Billions of dollars are bet on it throughout every year. But on esports, there's no market there. So we're kind of bringing these props to the forefront by ourselves. Like we're adjusting our lines every day for every sport. So it was difficult because again, there's nothing to look back on and be like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. But that makes it fun, right? We're the frontiers, we're the leaders in this. So if we mess up, great. If we don't mess up, doesn't matter. We're just moving forward with our users accordingly.
And how's it been going? You said you've been including esports for about 2 years or so?
A little over a year and a half now.
A year and a half, okay.
It's strong. So still, unfortunately, our most revenue generation is traditional sports, but we know the market is there for our esports. And from our small community on the esports side, we do have a sticky product. It is fun. Most of our contests are free to play. So if anyone wants to check it out, just obviously download the app or thrivefantasy.com. But yeah, we think, and from what our partners are saying also, this has a lot of room for growth. We're talking to a couple of esports organizations. We're talking to some publishers. So they know that this is coming and sooner rather than later. So hopefully we can be the ones bringing this to the next level.
Okay. So your model is basically data. You're looking at all the data every day, it sounds like. What are your thoughts on the esports industry? Because I've talked to everybody across the board. Some people are saying it's going to collapse at some point. Some people are saying it's going to go exponential. People are saying investors are dumping money in, while others are saying people are pulling out. Like, what are your thoughts?
It's a very complicated ecosystem at this point because it's not figured out yet. Every team has different, every organization has different teams that they work with. All of these teams, as you're probably very familiar, aren't making money. It's a lot of money going into it without revenue coming back. So fortunately for us, if a team or an organization isn't making money, that doesn't affect us, right? Because people are still going to be watching these matches, these tournaments. So on our aspect and our perspective, we think that it's going to keep going up because more eyeballs are going on Twitch, more eyeballs are going to these massive tournaments. But I think there is going to be a struggle for the next decade on how to monetize properly and the relationships and partnerships there. And just on the data feed side, we do need these publishers to be more understanding that they should be giving out their data. Every big sports team and organization, NFL, NBA, MLB, realized quickly, like, we need these partners, these ESPNs, these fantasy teams, these Yahoos to pump us and promote us. And Thrive can do that for these ESLs and for these Activisions and Riots. So once they say, okay, we're ready to move forward there, there's going to be a lot more room for growth for all parties.
Okay. Can we talk about you a little more personally, if we can? What's life as an entrepreneur? Like, you had the traditional job and now you're in the entrepreneurial life. How's that going?
It's a struggle every day, right? As entrepreneurs can attest to better than anybody else. It's 99% downwards, but that 1% that goes up is the reason that you keep moving forward. So really nice for us. We actually ended up closing our seed round in June of this year. So
congratulations. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was quite extensive in terms of all the no's that we would hear. But that's just the life of the entrepreneur. But again, what's nice is I don't have to go to bed wondering if I can pay my employees or where the next obstacle is. You're going to face 50 obstacles, but having money in the bank is quite nice. But yeah, I can't say that it's been a smooth journey. It's so many hardships, so many nights that you're like, holy crap, this is failing. This is not, no one cares. No one likes this, which is not true, but that's just the mindset and I'm a sole founder. So I don't have a lot of people that I can bounce this holy crap moment off of. But we're moving forward. I think if you're persistent, if you're determined, if you believe, and you can keep the lights on, which is the most important part, just keep doing what you love. And if you're passionate about it, it should work out.
Okay. So Adam, part of my show is allowing my audience to get into the mind of the person I'm interviewing, to potentially allow them to follow in your footsteps, because, so many people want to do entrepreneurship, but like you said, it's a slog. How many no's do you think you got before you get that one yes?
Probably over 1,000.
Wow, man. Right on. How did you get through it? Like, how did you mentally tough it out? Because that's a lot of rejection.
Yeah, for sure. There's not one single answer, but friends and family need to support. If they're not supporting you, if they're saying go back to whatever you were doing prior, you have to cut them out, at least at the beginning, right? You can't have people who are naysayers to you. It's just going to crush you even more than you're getting crushed. And what's nice is, and I'll plug this because I believe in it so much, I'm part of a community called Startup Leadership Program. It's SLP. It's essentially 30 entrepreneurs from 30 different industries where you meet up every other Tuesday for 3 hours and just bounce ideas, bounce what you're struggling with, how people can help you. And that was just such a massive part, and still is a massive part of my life. But you need that community, that network, to be able to not drown, because drowning is quite evident for several entrepreneurs and just the entrepreneurial ecosystem in general.
Okay. If you could go back in time and you could talk to your former self when you were just starting out on this journey, and explain to him everything that was going to happen over the next several years, but tell him the one piece of advice he absolutely had to get through, what would that be?
Take that money and invest it in Bitcoin. No.
I understand.
Just understand that everything happens for a reason. Um, you're gonna get those no's, and that just makes you stronger. It makes you move forward even more. Um, every entrepreneur believes if they build it, they will come, and that's just not true at all. People don't care, but you have to realize that if you keep moving forward and you make these small snail steps, people will see it regardless of if they invest or not, or if people are like, this is the coolest thing of all time. Move forward, be excited about it. Don't let that no and those naysayers take over your brain, because it's easy for that to happen.
Was there something you wish you had known when you were first starting out?
Yeah, a ton. If I knew that, fortunately for us, we launched in April of 2018, and a month later, PASPA got overturned, which theoretically allowed sports betting to become legal. So if I knew that, we would be in quite a different spot, because I would have been able to pitch that a lot easier to potential investors. Be like, hey, we're building something, and by the way, sports betting is around the corner. But there's no one specific idea or thought behind it. It's just, again, I can't stress enough, build a nice solid team around you and support system, and get off to the races and just jump, right? 99% of people put one foot in the water and 90% of their bodies out of it. If you're going to go for it, go for it. There's no half-assing this type of journey.
And no toe dipping. I love that advice. Okay. Okay. So Adam, I believe we learn the most in our life from our failures, not our successes. And you're shaking your head, so you agree with me here. When you get smacked in the face, you get knocked down. You have to figure out a way to pull yourself up, dust yourself off, and then move forward. So I'd like to ask, because despite all of your amazing success, I don't want everyone to think like it's been rosy, even though you've been like it's not rosy. No. I don't want them to have any illusion that it was rosy. What do you consider your biggest failure along the way, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so agreed. So Matt Damon and Rounders, a big poker movie, and I suggest everybody watch it if they haven't. And he says it better than anybody. All poker players remember every hand that they've lost, but seldom remember the hands that they've won. So yeah, failure is the thing that pushes you forward, right? If everything was if it was so easy to be successful, everybody would be a millionaire. We'd all be on our private island. But yeah, in terms of the failure, our biggest failure ever was week 1 of NFL, which for anybody who understands daily fantasy, NFL is king when it comes to revenue generation, engagement, all that good stuff. That literally the first time we were showing off our NFL template and our game concept, our data feeds didn't pull for 5 hours. So from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., I was nearly in tears, saying like I was in front of our engineers being like, what's happening? They had no idea what was happening. We had no idea what was happening. Our users were like, holy crap. And we reached out to them and we sent them an apology letter, apology email saying, hey, we understand this is the first time for many of you that you've seen Thrive. We sincerely apologize for this user experience. That's not what we plan on having. And lo and behold, we got amazing responses saying, hey, we understand. We've seen this before. It's out of your control. It's something that it is what it is. And they came back. So whenever you think that something is the end of you, you'll wake up tomorrow, you'll figure it out, and users will come back if they like what you're doing.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Kind of related, what's something you're working on to improve on yourself today?
Personally or professionally?
Both.
Personally, so our team is growing. So personally, I consider myself a strong leader, but every employee, every person has a different way to motivate them or to tell them how to handle this situation better or to criticize them. So I need to start iterating on how I speak to certain personas, and that's always a never-ending iteration, right? You'll never understand that fully, but I'm excited about that journey. Fortunately for me, I am getting to delegate more responsibilities to people that I trust within the organization. Like prior 2018, 2019, it was myself and one other colleague. Now we're going to be a team of 10 in the next 6 months. So that's really exciting. But also, I have to steer the ship, right? So that's going to be something that I've never done before, but that's something I'm really looking forward to.
All right, wonderful. It's not on my list of questions I sent you. I'm just curious. Is it different marketing to traditional sports audience as opposed to the esports audience?
That is quite arguably our number one priority in terms of how we're not being successful. The esports community is 1,000,000% different than the traditional sports community. We understand that. We haven't been able to infiltrate the esports community nearly as well as we believe we should be. With that said, we are creating new technology to show off Thrive. For instance, we just created a Discord bot that is going into other channels and servers and showing off player props within a channel. And what's nice is we're live updating in Discord every 15 seconds these player props. So while you're on Discord, while you're watching these big matches on Twitch, we're a really cool secondary screen to show off. We're doing a Twitch extension very shortly. So you can't just go on Twitter and Facebook and say, hey, check out our app. We have $20,000 guaranteed for this Sunday. Esports users don't give a crap. But if we can show it off in Discord and Reddit and places that they're on and very sticky to, that's where the real understanding of what Thrive could be will end up being profitable. But to answer your question, we need a lot of help in that regard.
All right, just kind of speculation. Why do you think it's so different? Like, I've done a ton of interviews. I've done over 150 interviews. I've met every gamer there could be. Like, there's no such thing as a typical gamer. But it doesn't seem like they're different people than anybody else. What makes it so hard?
I disagree in the sense that they're way more technologically advanced. So the traditional ways of marketing to them might not be something that they care about. Like they have a lot of ad blockers. They see these things and they're like, all right, here's another ad. Like I'm over it type of situation. But that's kind of the fun of it, right? No one's really been able to crack the esports fantasy community yet. We know it's out there. We know people like to game and we know people are watching these matches and tournaments on ESL and LCS and all these dream hacks. So whoever can get there and understand the community has a really strong upside. And we think we can do that. We just need help of a lot of publishers, a lot of tournament creators, and we're slowly but surely getting to that point in time.
All right, wonderful. Adam, it's been a fantastic interview. How do people find you? How do they reach out to you? Where are you guys at on social media?
So we're at ThriveFantasy, one word. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, you name it, TikTok. We're at ThriveFantasy on the App Store, on the Play Store, on our website. We're on Discord as well. So we really love for anybody to check us out. Please give us feedback, positive, negative, what have you. We listen, and really we believe in one of a strong suit of ours is our customer service is top notch. We'll get back to you in less than an hour for the most part. So please give us your feedback. And we honestly think that what we're creating is pretty cool and pretty revolutionary. So would love to see what you guys think.
All right, fantastic. Now, as we wrap this up, do you have any final thoughts you want to share or anything I didn't ask you think we still need to cover?
No, this was a really strong and streamlined process. So as you said, you've interviewed 150 plus gamers or entrepreneurs. So it looks like and feels like you know what you're doing at a high level. So all good.
I appreciate that. All right, Adam, thank you so much. I genuinely do appreciate you coming on with us today.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
All right. And for everybody else, I'm going to remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.